So I'm pleased to be joined with Pastor Josh Fraser. You are at the church at Pine Ridge, and you guys have a really interesting story that we're going to dive into in a few minutes. But I'd love to just kind of maybe first off get to know your journey into ministry a little bit. Like, how did that look for you? Was it always the dream to become a pastor?
Good question. I mean, I think everybody's journey is obviously very different. Um, since about 19 years old, felt like ministry was something I would be maybe pursue one day, not really sure, just through people's encouragement in my life. And then yeah, just I got married young. We were 19. We had our first son when we were 20 and really just lots of prayer. The answer was always no, not right now. No, not right now. No, not right now. So I spent most of my 20s working the trades and just serving the church wholeheartedly, worship leading, was an elder at in a church for a few years in my late 20s. And then just at right as before I turned 30 was just felt that call just to go full time to gain a little bit of education. I went to Steinbach because where else do you go? I was living in BC at the time, came to Steinbach and did a couple of years of training there and found myself at Pine Ridge. So that's where I've been now for 7 years and loving ministry there.
And so yeah, you're at Pine Ridge now, and you guys were given something pretty unexpected, out of the ordinary, something not normal for a lot of churches. So I'd love for you to kind of touch on that and then also share this incredible story, like kind of leading up to it.
Yeah, so our church, we want to get after everything the Lord would have for us as far as his call on our church, our obedience, living where we're at. So we're just outside of Winnipeg, in the RM of Springfield, and it's an RM of 17,000. There's not many churches out here. So coming out of COVID, really just the Lord impressed upon our hearts, like we need to be reaching out in our community. We just felt like this time is ripe for just good spiritual conversation in our community, offering the hope of Jesus. So I'd say it was 2021. We really started intentionally praying regularly as a church for opportunity in our community. Our church is in the country on the corner of two highways. So like there's no foot traffic stuff. How can we get out in the community? So our closest community to us is Oakbank. So we start praying, Lord, give us opportunity. Lord, would you show us where to go in this community, how we can reach out to the lost in a corporate church kind of way. We're all supposed to be sharing with the lost in our day-to-day lives, but in a corporate way, how can we do this? So we prayed about that for a long time. And then at the end of that year, there's a previous church who used to meet in a building in Oakbank. It's in a little bit of a strip mall. They approached us out of the blue. We didn't know them super well or anything, but they approached us and said, "Hey, we would like you to consider taking on this building, like giving us ownership of this building." And so it's a strip mall. It has a hairdresser, a craft place, and our MLA's office is in this building. And then that's half the building, and the other half was previously used as a church and then as a youth drop-in. But they were just handing it over to us to say, hey, do something with this in the community. And so, well, took that to prayer, like, wow, that might be an answer to prayer. Take it to prayer, consider it. Then we, as an elder board, present it to the church. That first Sunday morning, we present this idea to the church. One person, her name is Mandy, who's now managing this building and the ministry in it. Her and Haley. So she comes to me and says, "Hey, I've had this idea for a coffee shop ministry for years. Just kind of the space is the biggest hang up. Maybe consider that." And then we have a prayer time as a church together that morning to ask the Lord's wisdom in what we should do with this. And another person from our church comes up to me and says, "I don't know if there's anything here, but when we were praying, I just could hear coffee shop Haley, coffee shop Haley." And so she's not connected to this other Haley person. She doesn't know this. And so then that gets my attention. And then that week, a couple other people say, "Hey, have you considered a coffee shop?" Just not connected at all. So the Lord was getting our attention. And so through prayer, we acquired this building and we've started a coffee shop. It took a lot of effort and a lot of volunteers, such a great team, but here we are reaching out to the community in this way.
And I mean, obviously that is I don't like that's almost unheard of, I feel like, of just like how the Lord's continually speaking, speaking through other people multiple times, people that aren't related, which is really cool. And it just really speaks to like what he's trying to do through you guys, through this community, kind of getting the community together. And, I mean, you saying it's in a strip mall, so obviously that has more foot traffic and people that wouldn't necessarily come to your church. So how have you used it, maybe as like a tool to evangelize or to share the gospel? Has that been a part of it? Or is it just like we're just going to do a coffee shop and kind of see how conversations go?
Yeah, I mean, we are just a few months into this and it's kind of taking shape as we go, but the intent is absolutely to share the gospel clearly. We hope to run alpha courses out of here in the near future, but right now, so the high school is a block down the street, so we get high school kids and teachers dropping in, and our staff, like they're here for ministry. They're baristas, I guess is what you call them, but they're here for ministry. They greet people, they offer the hope of Jesus. There's been times where they've seen somebody and just had a time of prayer with them. And it's a slow start, I would say, but yeah, the hope is being a light post, being a place where people come and just meet and hopefully meet with Jesus.
Mhm. Absolutely. And when you got into ministry, did you ever envision a coffee shop opening up?
Well, that's actually a part that I left out of the story. So I personally, not a coffee shop running kind of guy, but but it reminded me. So years and years ago, we were in this area, and we were having a prayer time with people, and they had shared that they had this person that had this dream that this building that we're in had a ministry coffee shop in it. I hadn't thought about it because people mention things and their ideas and you just move on. This was about 13 years ago that had happened, and so that reminded me, and I'm like, you know what, maybe the Lord was just trying to remind me of that thing that maybe he planted a long time ago. So I can't say, yeah, this was like an endeavor that I wanted to come up with, but I think the Lord's hand was in it.
And yeah, I mean, that's just a testament to like years ago having that dream and then kind of now fast forward and kind of seeing it kind of all come to fruition must be really cool. And just seeing how God is moving through you and through the church and through the people that are going to walk through the doors, probably just stopping for a coffee and they don't know what they're walking into, but they're going to see God's love through this coffee shop.
Right.
And it's going to be so cool. So, what I guess first off, I don't even think we said like what is this coffee shop called? Kind of what's popular on the menu if someone's looking for a new coffee shop to try out?
Well, it's called Lift Coffee and Tea, and we're hoping that anybody comes through these doors leaves better than when they came, that we would be lifting people up, and that they would come in better than or leave better than when they came in. Sorry, I said that the wrong way, didn't I? Um, and so I mean it's got all your fancy coffee shop stuff. I mean the caramel macchiato is a favorite here. Apparently, I'm more of a black coffee guy, so I stick with the Americano, and there's all sorts of ice drinks in the summer, and it's fun watching families come in and sit in. We have a really big space to sit in and meet, and then you have different groups throughout the week coming and having their meetings here. It's been good to see.
And I mean, you mentioned a few minutes ago that kind of you're still kind of up and running. You're still trying to figure out kind of the groove of running this coffee shop. You want to have like courses, alpha courses hosted there in the future. Is there anything else like that people could expect that, maybe it's just coming from this coffee shop or from the church in general?
Yeah, so I mean, a big part of the vision for it is to be a light post into the community and to put on events and things like that. So an alpha course is obviously directly exploring the faith, but there's also going to be things. There's a stage here. We're going to be doing music nights and probably paint nights and just community building things as well to reach on the community that way. And we're looking at least once a month setting up a community-based evening where people can just mingle and get to know each other.
Perfect. Well, Pastor Josh, thank you so much for joining us today and sharing about this new endeavor.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.